The FIA just confirmed a whole package of rule changes for Miami. Every team agreed. The FIA called it constructive. Everyone shook hands, metaphorically, and said, "Right, we're heading in the right direction." And then Max Verstappen opened his mouth. Within 24 hours of those changes being announced, changes that took weeks of meetings, consultations, and technical discussions to agree on, Max basically said, "Yeah, thanks, but that's not enough. The problem goes way deeper than this. And not everyone will admit it, but I'm saying it publicly." So is Max right? Is he just moaning because his car is rubbish? Or has F1 boxed itself into a corner with these 2026 rules that no amount of tweaking can actually fix? That's what we're getting into today. Buckle up. Let's start with the words themselves. Because the way Verstappen talks about these regulations is unlike anything I've heard from a current World Championship level driver. After the Chinese Grand Prix, Race 2, he said, "It's not fun at all, it's playing Mario Kart. This is not racing." Crash.net. You boost past, then you run out of battery on the next straight. They boost past you again. For me, it's just a joke. Crash.net. Mario Kart, comparing F1 to a children's video game. And he didn't stop there. Speak to most drivers, it's not what we like. Motorsport. Then, after the FIA's Miami tweaks at a Viaplay event, you can tweak these regulations a bit, but fundamentally something is wrong. Not everyone will admit that publicly, but it's true. Planet F1. And he added, almost casually, "Even though I'll be retiring in a few years' time, I do want it to remain a decent sport." Planet F1. Retiring in a few years' time. A very different energy to the Max who dominated 3 years ago. Something has shifted. Section 2. The history. Max has been saying this since 2023, and that's why his position carries weight. Back at the 2023 Austrian Grand Prix, midway through one of the most dominant runs in F1 history, he was already flagging issues after early simulator runs on the 2026 concept, Autosport. He was winning everything, Red Bull looked untouchable, and he still sat there saying, "I have serious concerns about where this sport is going." Now it's 2026. 3 races in, the rules are live, and he's repeating the same warnings, just louder. It's not one gripe, it's a stack. Energy management, battery deployment windows, lift and coast incentives, speed deltas on the straights, and the complexity that comes with it. He's also blasted active aerodynamics, moving parts to add or shed downforce, saying, "We should stay away from active aerodynamics. It makes it all much more complicated. We should keep it as simple as possible." GP blog. Tweaking one race won't satisfy that kind of objection. Now let's be fair. There's a reasonable counter-argument we have to address, why the results look the way they do right now. Max is in the lower half of the championship after 3 rounds. Red Bull is nowhere. He retired from 6th in China while trying to keep pace with an Oliver Behrman in a Haas. Sports not. Toto Wolff, who's winning everything right now, put it bluntly. Lift and coast for a qualifying lap is hard for a flat-out driver like Max, but it's more of a car-specific issue that magnifies the problem. Sky Sports. And Wolff has a point. Lewis Hamilton has said he's never had more fun racing. Ferrari have podiums every race. McLaren are competitive. Same rules, different outcomes. Max even acknowledged it. Some will say it's great because they are winning, which is fair enough. When you have an advantage, why would you give that up? Motorsport. He knows the optics. He's saying it anyway, brave or tone-deaf, depending on your perspective. The counter-argument is simple. This looks like a car and window issue at Red Bull in 2026, not a rules conspiracy. Others have adapted quicker. Until the setup window widens, or the development clicks, the results will keep reflecting that reality. So what does Max actually want? He wants V8s or V10s back. The screaming, visceral engines that made F1 famous. The howl down the main straight. The sharp downshift crackles. The kind of sound that hooked a generation. That's the feeling he's chasing. The purity, the violence, the nostalgia of old-school Formula One. He's even said a return of V10s could make him reconsider retiring, because of the pure emotion they evoke. If those engines came back, he'd consider staying longer. That's how much the sound and response matter to him. It's not marketing. It's muscle memory. It's the throttle, the immediacy, the feeling that the car is alive. Newsweek reported it plainly. This is a heart-over-head desire. But here's the brutal reality. It's not happening. Not in this cycle. The current hybrid rules are baked in, the supply chains are set, and the manufacturers have invested billions around them. The sustainability story, the one that sells to boards and governments, lives in this hybrid architecture that Max hates. It keeps the sport aligned with road-relevant tech and future fuels. Audi joined because of these regulations. Honda stayed because of them. The manufacturer case, the budgets, the branding, the R&D, all sit on hybrids, sustainable fuels, and efficiency targets. That's the trade-off the sport made. Fans love the sound. Of course they do. But the business case runs on different fuel. OEM participation, net zero pledges, and relevance to electrified road cars. The 2026 power unit targets, more electrical deployment, sustainable fuels, tighter energy flow limits, were written with manufacturers at the table. Rolling all that back for noise? That's not a meeting anyone is calling. Nostalgia sells clips. Hybrids sell commitment. Toto Wolff said it before 2026 even started. Zero chance. Capital letters. Developed with all auto manufacturers involved. It attracted Audi and kept Honda. That's not hedging. That's the door. Closed. Sportskita carried the quote. The message was crystal. Could rules change mid-cycle? Technically, everything's possible. Practically, it's fantasy. Governance, supplier contracts, PU homologation, and cost caps make U-turns glacial. If naturally aspirated monsters ever roar again, it won't be under this framework, and not before a future engine era with a brand new mandate. So what does that leave for Max? Two options. Adapt or leave. Adapt means doubling down on the hybrid craft, mastering the deployment maps, living with the energy limits, and squeezing lap time from a power unit that prioritizes efficiency over theater. It means embracing the era he doesn't love and still winning everything anyway. Records, titles, legacy. Leave means chasing the pure feel elsewhere. Le Mans prototypes with roaring top speeds and multi-class chaos. IndyCar's oval bravery. Different cars that scratch the old-school itch. But in Formula One, for this cycle, the die is cast. Audi is committed, Honda is committed, and the rule set is the glue holding that commitment together. The sport isn't rolling back to V8s or V10s because one driver, even the best driver, wants it. That's not how modern F1 works. The manufacturers sign the checks, the regulations secure the signatures, the calendar and show follow. Max can push the conversation, and he has. The fans can cheer the scream of the past, and they will. But until a future mandate is written with different priorities, the answer remains the same. This is the hybrid era. The programs are built. The genie is out. And that leaves him with a simple, ruthless fork in the road. Adapt or leave. So, will he actually quit? He's threatened before. He says he'll stay as long as it's fun. Now he's dropping, when I retire in a few years, like it's penciled in. He says he's still a few years away, aligned with his deal through 2028, but some in the paddock whisper about a sabbatical as early as 2027 if nothing improves. Planet F1. The context matters. Lambiase is off to McLaren, senior lieutenants at Red Bull have moved on, the car isn't where he wants it, and the rules are draining the joy. Meanwhile, he's racing GTs at the Nürburgring and loving it. Connect the dots, and the retirement question stops feeling theoretical. The reaction split the paddock. Toto Wolff says drivers are guardians of the sport and their words carry weight. Yahoo Sports. George Russell counters that much of this is car-specific. He's leading the championship. Of course he's content. But when a driver who has dominated more completely than almost anyone calls the product a joke and says the rules are fundamentally wrong, you have to take it seriously, even if you disagree. So where does this land? The Miami tweaks are real and will help. Qualifying should be cleaner, and safety is being addressed. Progress is happening. But his critique is deeper, that F1's philosophical direction, more electric, more managed, more artificial, is wrong at its core. You can't patch that with a technical directive. Is he right? There's truth on both sides. 2026 has delivered brilliant wheel-to-wheel fights and some strange qualifying. Energy management has created safety concerns, and these cars undeniably feel different. What I know is this. Max at his best, in a car that works, enjoying himself, is the greatest single show in this sport. Right now he's unhappy, uncompetitive by his standards, and talking like retirement is penciled in. That should worry everyone who loves Formula One. The next test comes fast, Miami. New tweaks, new data, new mood music. If the joy creeps back, the timetable shifts. If it doesn't, the retirement drumbeat only gets louder. Drop a comment. Are the 2026 rules fundamentally broken, or is this just a champion stuck with a slow car? Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you for the Miami Grand Prix.